So, I have a thing for Google Maps. I can spend time on Google Maps as if it were TikTok. Satellite view, street view, Google Earth. When I'm interested in a city, I'll use the map view to take a look at city centers and where cool shops are and maybe find some restaurants and sites I want to visit. And I'll save these places. I have a whole bookmark set of things I want to see and places to go. Here's a weird thing I do for fun, is I'll just love to zoom in on a location where I know life would be pretty different from how I live mine. I'll use Street View just to see what life is like in some of the most northern parts of Canada. Or in urban parts of Chad. Or really rural Mongolia. A little while ago, I was planning this family trip to Sedona in northern Arizona. There's a lot of interesting stuff over there. I started to drift east, more towards the New Mexico border. And I came upon this really small city called Greer. From just a map view of Greer, nothing really stands out. Rural, kind of remote, population 40. But as soon as I clicked into the city to view some of the images people had posted, wow. Things look pretty gorgeous. I knew I had to go.
Hold on. Okay, you're not gonna... That only goes one direction.
Here are some of the fast facts about this place called Greer. It was founded back in the day by a Mormon settler. We're actually right in the middle of the Apache National Forest, and we're probably only 30 or 40 minutes west of the New Mexico border. Formally, Greer has a population of 40 people, and I have not seen a single soul all day. You can also see that this area was recently hit by wildfires. If you just look out the window at our view, we can still see where the hillsides are completely charred and barren. So we've had a pretty good track records of tiny cabins lately. Here's what we're looking at in Greer. Got a little kitchen. Okay, that right there is the shower. Kind of an odd place for one, but, you know, it's a tiny home sit. You gotta make do. We have the stove. We also have this 1-year-old, so the stove will not be going on. He does like playing with the firewood and transferring it from the bucket to the trash bin. That one's not as big as him. But he transferred the whole thing from that compartment into the trash bin. From the way things looked on Google Maps, I suspected that Greer might have some good hiking areas. We decided to go see if this was true. So right now we're at the Tunnel Reservoir. You can see it's really pretty. We were going to get out here and have fun, but it's also extremely windy. So, I don't know, we're probably going to just do a scenic drive around instead. Eventually, we did get to some spots where we could hike. In terms of geography, Greer is right on the confluence of the east and west forks of the Little Colorado River. I'm not a big fisherman, but I suspect that if you are, this is a great spot for fly fishing. Alright, Reese and I, and Mommy and Beignet, are on the Government Springs Trailhead. Making our way to, we don't really know what. We'll find out. It's a very wintry setting. So it is definitely warmer than it was this morning when we tried to do this trail at first. The upside to that is that there are fewer parts of it frozen over, so we're not as worried about slipping on that. Possible downside is that a lot of the snow and ice has melted and has now made the rivers we have to cross a lot deeper. Hakuna Matata, Hakuna Matata, Hakuna. Are you a teenager yet? It means no worries for the rest of your days. Of course, the big thing that drew us to this part of Arizona was Sedona, and we did everything there from hiking around Cathedral Rock to hanging out in the downtown area and exploring Red Rock State Park. So this is one of my favorite natural settings, a big reason why being the colors. I mean, look at that, and of course remember that photos never do it justice. But I've got to admit, one of my favorite parts of Sedona was the local dog park. So right now we're here in what is possibly the most scenic dog park we've been to. Hey Beignet, how do you like it? So that really epic dog park continues to have this basically a hiking trail, but just for dogs. Not just for dogs, I'm here too. This is a prettier space than most cities have, and it's just the dog park. Well, that was a pretty cool trip to the dog park. Think of all the different kinds of terrain. The high desert is becoming more and more of my favorite. First of all, the color scheme, and you get all these trees, which, you know, a desert wouldn't really give you. Sedona's bold red rocks gives the place a tremendous color palette. It's like an extremely rich, vibrant baseball field. What's cool is there's actually a lot more to this red dirt than immediately meets the eye. The red dirt here is much more than dirt. It's alive. So this area has some pretty extreme weather conditions. You'll get freezing winters and a hot desert sun. And compared to most soils across the US, this has a lot less nitrogen in it. All this means it's really hard for a lot of plants to thrive here. What you do find in the soil are complex communities of microorganisms. You'll find blue-green algae, lichens, moss, and cyanobacteria. These living things secrete a sticky filament that leaves the soil with a texture kind of like brown sugar. This allows a lot of the plants in the area to communicate each other through root networks and microfungi. It also greatly improves the water retention of the soil here. This type of soil is called cryptobiotic soil. This isn't the only place in the world where you can find cryptobiotic soil. In fact, one of the first things I immediately think of when I think of red dirt like this is Southern Africa. Now, the rugged textures may be misleading because it'll make the rocks and the soil that they're made up of look tough and weathered, and they are, but they're also really sensitive. Damage can take centuries, if not 1,000 years, to recover from. That's one of the key reasons why in an area like this, you'll really want to consolidate foot traffic to be on designated trails and clearly marked spaces. So the weather around Greer definitely defies the impression of Arizona as just this hot, dry desert. I mean, it is a desert for the most part, but you have places like Greer. It's the end of March here, and we're still flirting with freezing winter temperatures. So why do I do this? Arizona has plenty of tourist attractions, and this isn't even one of them. This is a town with a population of 40 people, 40 miles west of the New Mexico border. Yeah, to me, travel is always about much more than landmarks and attractions. We know so many places are dealing with a problem of over-tourism, and a lot of that kind of comes from a groupthink mentality when it comes to places to visit. We tend to be drawn to the same places over and over again. Like, I think there's nothing wrong with being interested in a site that is popular. But I think a lot of what makes travel, at least to me, is the art of just going somewhere unfamiliar and unknown. And these days, when you can just pull up something on the internet and know everything about it inside and out, and go to the exact same spots somebody has shown you step by step, I don't know, I think there's an element that gets lost that's about curiosity and humoring your curiosity and finding out for yourself what something's all about. But I think the same mindset that leads to those experiences just might send you on a trip to a place as random as Greer. Thank you so much for watching. If you've ever taken a curiosity-fueled trip like this, let me know how it went in the comments below. In the meantime, please leave a thumbs up and hit subscribe to follow along. Kind of the whole point of this thing is to just follow curiosity, and let's take us some interesting places. We're going to keep doing that. Until then, take care.